Dr. Trigg began his educational career as a mathematics instructor and athletic coach at Shawnee Mission School District in Overland Park, Kansas. During his 41 years as an educator, he has served as a high school principal, as an assistant superintendent, and for the last 11 years as superintendent at Blue Valley Schools in Overland Park, Kansas. In 2011, Dr. Trigg was named Kansas Superintendent of the Year, and he was one of the 4 finalists for National Superintendent of the Year. Dr. Trigg joined Highland Park in July, and he is the 8th superintendent to lead our district since it began more than 100 years ago. Please help me welcome our newest number 1 Scot, Dr. Tom Trigg.
As you know, 2014 marked Highland Park Independent School District's first centennial, and I'm delighted to welcome you here today as we begin the next 100 years of excellence in learning and in service. As you know, the Highland Park Educational Foundation raises and allocates millions of dollars in support of HPISD. Their projects include the Tartan Fund, an endowment to support HPISD schools in a permanent and reliable manner, Mad for Plaid, the annual joint fundraising campaign of the foundation and our PTAs, scholarships which are awarded in support of our students and of our teachers. We're deeply grateful to the members of the Education Foundation as their work allows us to continue to provide an exemplary education for all of our students. Now it's my very great pleasure to introduce Will Beetrell. Will is the current president of the foundation. He's been a member of the board of the foundation since 2005. He is actually a graduate himself of Highland Park High School, as are his 4 children, Caitlin, Mary, Sarah, and Will. In addition to his work for the district, he's a member of the board of the Dallas Zoological Society and the Dallas Episcopal Diocese Board. He was a member of the Highland Park Town Council from 2008 to 2014. I don't know when he has any time to work. Goodness. Will, would you please join me on stage to present the Howie Award? Will.
Good morning. The Eileen and John Howie Award is given annually in celebration of the Howies' lives and their dedication to this community. The grant is awarded each year at this opening convocation to an HPISD staff member who exemplifies the spirit of service to this community. It is my great pleasure to present the Howie Award to a dedicated member of Facility Staff Service, Arnaldo Christian. Arnaldo is known Arnaldo is known and appreciated by every campus and every office in the HPISD. He joined the district in 2004 as a member of the lawn crew and has served as HPISD's courier since 2006. Arnaldo is the epitome of the type of person that the Howie Award was designed to celebrate. Because he's had the special ability that makes everyone feel that they're important to him, he's often the first person they turn to help with additional tasks and events. His friendly, can-do attitude is admired and appreciated by his administrators, faculty, staff, and volunteers. He takes great pride in his work and is always very careful to make sure that everything is done correctly. But it is his willingness to step up and give the extra assistance that makes him so special. He is dedicated to the district, its students, teachers, and the staff. I quote, "We always know that when we ask Arnaldo for help, that whatever it is that we need, he will make it happen," Highland Park High School's Mary Schaefer said. Every campus and office in HPISD is touched on a daily basis with his cheerful greeting and his willingness to take on any assignment or task that is needed. Highland Park High School's assistant principal, Marta Gott, said, "On the surface, Arnaldo is a quiet man who takes care of business and seems to enjoy his work, yet when you ask him about his family, his face brightens. He loves his family and the time he shares with them. Arnaldo is a man of his word. If he says he'll do something, it is taken care of with precision. Arnaldo is a wonderful, kind gentleman who always goes the extra mile to be of service to the district and fellow staff members." I am honored to present the Eileen and John Howie Award to Arnaldo Christian. Arnaldo is a fan of the Rocky movies, and he has chosen Eye of the Tiger as his signature song.
I'd like to ask Will to remain on the stage with me to honor our Teachers of the Year. And I want you to know that in addition to the flowers that you see, our Teachers of the Year are going to receive a monetary award through the generosity of the Highland Park Educational Foundation and La Fiesta de las Seis Banderas. Did I do that okay? I wasn't asking you, I was asking my wife, the Spanish teacher. We worked on this for 30 minutes last night. Oh, I'll find out when I get home. All right. Our principals were each going to introduce their Teachers of the Year on stage and share their thoughts about these very special people. Dr. Skip Moran will introduce second grade teacher Laura Rollins, Armstrong Elementary's Teacher of the Year. Skip.
Laura Rollins is a Highland Park and Baylor grad, and she began her career in education with us. She joined the Armstrong faculty in 2010 as a second grade teacher, and she's been with us ever since. Laura is an excellent teacher, leader, and role model. Here are some of the things her colleagues had to say about her when they selected her as Teacher of the Year at Armstrong. Laura's commitment to her students is evident as she always approaches students who need differentiation as what can I do, or there must be something different I can try. She's a risk taker, trying new things to engage her students, yet carefully aligning her instruction with research-based best practices at the same time. When a teacher is as skilled and knowledgeable as Laura, it takes a special gift to be able to communicate what she knows to others in a way that makes others feel like they can do it too, and Laura does that naturally. Although she's a top-notch educator, she's humble, funny, and kind, just the kind of person students, parents, and colleagues want to have around. Many seek Laura's advice on classroom management, engaging lessons, workshop ideas, organizational skills, and so much more. Her poise and professionalism make learning engaging and enjoyable for students, and she also creates that same environment for her colleagues. Laura is understandably a big Baylor fan, and it's no surprise that her signature song is that good old Baylor line, the Baylor fight song.
Christine Bruner will introduce Bradfield Elementary's Teacher of the Year, first grade teacher, Christy Kempel. Yes.
Good morning. Christy began her teaching career in 1996 at Fair Meadows Elementary in Duncanville, ISD. She joined HPISD in 2002 to teach first grade at Bradfield, and she has been with us for 13 years. It's a pleasure to celebrate Bradfield's Teacher of the Year, Christy Kempel. When we think of all the qualities of a great teacher and what they exemplify, we're really thinking about Christy. When children are placed in her first grade classroom, they have Miss Kempel's arms wrapped around them as they learn and grow as readers and writers and mathematicians and scientists, and also as citizens of this world. As first graders do make mistakes from time to time, Miss Kempel is there to guide them with her calm, sweet way. I refer to her as a remarkable child whisperer. Christy's continuous work as a learner of the craft of teaching makes her a tremendous resource for her colleagues at Bradfield. Her leadership with the district's ELA cadre, as well as our campus ELA design team, has helped give direction to our work and has challenged all of us to improve as teachers of literacy for our children. Christy chose a song she listens to on days she needs a little boost. It's a song that prepares her for the day ahead, Steady My Heart.
Jeremy Gilbert will introduce Hires Teacher of the Year, first grade teacher Kelly Bentley. Jeremy?
Kelly began her teaching career at Plano ISD's Hedgecox Elementary School in 2000. I got a load. Pretty cute. She joined HPISD in 2011 and has been teaching first grade at Higher ever since. In trying to understand the essence of Kelly Bentley's greatness, one would need to look no further than the classic line from her favorite movie, Forrest Gump. The line, of course, that I speak of, and I'm not going to do an impression, is when Forrest explains, "Mama always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." Each year upon receiving her class list, Miss Bentley views her students in a similar manner in which Forrest sees the world. Her box of chocolates is filled with mystery and excitement, giving her the chance to meet her new students and understand their individual talents, personalities, and to help each student reach his or her full potential. Kelly has a unique ability to unwrap her students individually to help them thrive both academically and socially in the cozy confines of her first grade classroom. But make no mistake, Miss Bentley is clear from the start that she too is a learner and that her classroom is a place where Huskies short and tall have something special to teach and to learn from one another. It continues to be an honor to have a front row seat to marvel at Kelly's professional journey, whether it is her unyielding commitment to her own professional growth or serving as a dynamic teacher leader. Kelly Bentley exemplifies the essence of what it takes to be recognized as the Hire Teacher of the Year. It should come as no surprise that Kelly chose the theme song from Forrest Gump as her song today.
Dr. Linda Carter will introduce third grade teacher Kendra Davison, University Park Elementary's Teacher of the Year. Linda?
Kendra Davis began her teaching career in Allen ISD, where she taught third grade at Story Elementary School for 5 years. She joined HPISD in 2008 and has taught third and fourth grade at UP. Kendra is an enthusiastic teacher who is always willing to go above and beyond expectations. Her strong interpersonal skills, work ethic, passion for literacy, and seamless use of technology in the classroom are just a few of the many reasons she's an extraordinary teacher. For her colleagues, having the opportunity to work alongside Kendra is nothing short of a dream come true. She's a selfless individual who's always willing to lend a hand, share ideas, or mentor her colleagues. She is respected not only by the faculty of UP, but by the many peers she's worked with across HPISD. Known to many for her leadership roles as an Abydos trainer and Literacy Academy facilitator, Kendra also represents our campus as an ELA curriculum writer, literacy cadre member, and active users facilitator. Where does she get all that energy? She says it's her passion for teaching children. In addition to all of the responsibilities she takes on at UP and in the district, it is Kendra's role as Miss Davison that is perhaps the most significant. Her ideas are creative and well thought out. They are designed to grab her students' attention, but also challenge them to become thinkers who dig deep and critically into their learning. Kendra makes her students' academic growth her priority. She encourages her students to do their best no matter what challenges they face. She creates and maintains an engaging and risk-free learning environment where all of her students' individual needs are met. She never shies away from a challenge, whether she's trying a new app with her students or engaging in rich literary conversations. Her instruction is first rate. We're proud to have Kendra as our Teacher of the Year. Kendra chose her song because it helps her reflect on her past and the experiences that have shaped her into the person she is today. Just as she tells her students every day is a new day, with a new beginning, her signature song is Here Comes the Sun.
Dr. Lori Hitzelberger will introduce McCullough Intermediate Schools Teacher of the Year, 5th grade math teacher Emily Green, and then she will stay on to introduce the Middle School Teacher of the Year as well. Lori.
Emily began her career here in Highland Park as the science lab teacher at UP Elementary. She moved into a 2nd grade classroom and then taught 4th grade before moving to St. John's Episcopal School. After 6 years there, she returned to HP as a 5th grade math teacher at MIS. Emily has been selected as an HPISD Teacher of the Year not once, but twice. Her former colleagues at UP selected her as their Teacher of the Year, and now her colleagues at McCullough Intermediate School have seen the same exceptional qualities in her. Emily genuinely cares about each and every one of her students, and she has high expectations for each of them. She is a master at differentiating instruction and a leader in the innovative use of technology to assist and challenge students in their understanding of math. She is the ultimate professional, a valued contributor to her team, and the 5th grade math instructional team leader. While she is a superstar teacher, both by characteristics and by her team name, she also finds time to be a superstar mom. She is a gentle spirit and all-around kind person, and we are proud to call her our Teacher of the Year. Emily chose a song that describes the way she feels every day that she works with her students. Each day is a new opportunity for them and for her to see different things and have new experiences. As the song says, at times we soar or tumble, but there is no other wondrous place for me. Here is Emily's song, A Whole New World. Now I would like to introduce 7th grade math teacher Jean Streepy, Highland Park Middle School's Teacher of the Year. Jean Streepy worked 18 years in treasury management and business consulting before joining HPISD as a 6th grade math teacher in 2006. In 2012, she made the transition to the middle school and now teaches 7th grade math. It's the year for double takes, as Jean is also being recognized for the 2nd time as an HPISD Teacher of the Year. Jean is the former Teacher of the Year for MIS, and she is now being honored by Highland Park Middle School. Jean is truly exceptional. She tackles a challenge with the passion of a champion. Jean can take a simple idea, add her own brand of creativity and intelligence, and the result is an innovative solution far above and beyond the typical. If Jean knows there's a better way to do things, she won't stop until she does it. She's been posting video tutorials since her early years of teaching and recently facilitated having her students create a spreadsheet of video tutorials for her final exam review so that each student could click on a problem they didn't understand and see a student-led explanatory tutorial. She's a campus instructional team leader and creative contributor to the campus leadership as a whole, while also maintaining a superstar mom status. In the words of one of her colleagues, Jean Streepy is the bar, and we would all be challenged to reach it. Congratulations, Jean, on this well-deserved recognition. Jean chose her song because the words remind her of the wonderful students and teachers she has met working here. From the musical Wicked, I'm not sure what that says about the wonderful teachers, but I'm just teasing Jean. So much of me is made from what I learned from you. Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
Walter Kelly will introduce Highland Park High School's Teacher of the Year, calculus teacher, Dr. Melinda Wright.
Thank you, Dr. Trigg, and good morning. Dr. Wright began her career in 1993 teaching math at Smithville Junior High. Notice, and actually Jean pointed this out, these are 3 consecutive math teachers. Want to make sure that we point that out with a new math superintendent here? She joined HPISD in 2003 and has taught various levels of algebra, pre-cal, calculus at HPHS over the years. Dr. Wright exudes a wonderful sense of humor and embracing of her inner geek that stands in contrast with the seriousness that she takes her profession and her teaching. Always a strong advocate for high standards and quality instruction, she listens carefully, presents her point of view, and that is cute. Presents her point of view in a clear manner and works to consolidate criticism in current practice. A former administrator, she does what many of us aspire to do, teach, and teach most excellently. She also does what most of us have never aspired to do, return and take a summer calculus course simply for fun. Last but not least, she holds in her possession a treasure more revered than the golden Fort Knox or the leprechaun's lucky charms, the math test bank. Dr. Wright chose a song she loves because it reminds her to focus on the awesomeness of God, Revelation Song.
All right, let's give one more round of applause to our Teachers of the Year. And also our HPHS Orchestra and conductor, Peggy Tucker. We're going to pause a moment as the Teachers of the Year exit the stage and the orchestra does as well. It's now time on our program to hear from our elementary and secondary Teachers of the Year. But this year is even more special than most. When our Teachers of the Year are selected, they are then nominated for consideration as the Region 10 Teacher of the Year. Region 10 consists of 80 school districts covering more than 8 counties with more than 50,000 teachers. Last week, I was invited to attend the Region 10 luncheon where our 2 teachers from Highland Park ISD were thrilled when Kendra Davison, 3rd grade teacher from University Park Elementary School, was named one of the only 3 finalists for the honor of Region 10 Elementary Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to Kendra. And you'll see part of the reason for that with this video highlighting Kendra.
1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Because we're applying our book today to our boat project.
I always come home feeling good because I've had such a good day with Miss Davison every single day. She all makes us just kind of relax and feel good by how she's teaching.
And like, we think we cut it the hole too big, since then water got water.
So how long did your boat go?
She gives us a problem and she helps us through it, but she doesn't just give us the answer. She always says like you can do it and things, and so it's really kind of her.
Not so good, right? He actually got eaten, but he had to go through all of that?
She does fun activities, and if we don't understand things, she makes us problem solve and then helps us.
Could you talk to other friends? Yes. Could you talk to your teacher? Yes. Could you plan at home?
Yes. We are trying to make a boat that could hold as many pennies as possible without sinking.
Besides tape, do you have any other materials?
No.
That's all we got? That's all the tape you have?
It was pretty easy because it was just cups and tape. Then we threw the pennies in.
Completely new boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so whoever's boat will hold the most pennies and with the longest wins. Whoever doesn't. We got 13 last.
Okay, so you're gonna try to beat 13.
She's really making us like these projects and like want to stay at school more.
Let's persevere through this one and see what you can come up with.
Okay.
Because it could be amazing, right? What if you made yours win?
Miss Davison is always humorous.
One time she made a joke and she said that we didn't have any recess that day, and we were all like, "What? We don't have any recess? That's and then she says, "No, I'm just joking." It was really funny though.
What did you have today?
62.
Ooh, 62. So they had 67 yesterday and 62?
Miss Davison is smart, kind, fun, and teachable.
Think about our buoyancy. What about the buoyancy? It has to be what?
Flat.
I think Miss Davison won Teacher of the Year because she has lots of experience at UP. She's been here for a while, and it really shows through by the way she teaches. I would vote for Miss Davison because she's, all the reasons I said.
Congratulations, Miss Davison. I'm so glad you got Teacher of the Year. Thank you for being such a good teacher. Congratulations.
Miss Davison, great job. Miss Davison, I'm so glad you got Teacher of the Year, and congrats. Yay! Congratulations, Miss Davison. I'm so glad you got Teacher of the Year, and I think you really deserved it. Congratulations, Miss Davison. You're the best, and I'm happy that you got Teacher of the Year. I knew you would. Congratulations, Miss Davison. You are the best.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here today representing UP Elementary as well as our district. As I started to think about what to say in this speech, I sought out ideas from friends and family. In the end, while I appreciated all the advice, I decided to stay true to myself and speak straight from my heart. My message is simple. Teaching is all about relationships. There's an old saying that we have all heard so many times before that we probably think is trite, but it's really true. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I have learned this time and again, both as a student and as a teacher. Let me explain. From as early as I can remember, I wanted to become a teacher. I can still picture myself playing school with my family, friends, and yes, my dolls too. We all did that, right? I played school just about with anyone or anything who would sit still long enough for me to teach them. Of course, playing pretend school was fun. It was stress-free, responsibility-free, and drama-free. Lesson plans? I taught whatever came to mind. Classroom management? Everybody behaved in my classroom. Differentiated instruction? Nobody needed individual attention because everyone was smart. Simply put, it was easy. So the naive me assumed that since playing school was easy and fun, the real thing should be too, right? Unfortunately, no. It was at about that time in my life when I was playing school that attending school went from easy to hard in no time. Around 4th grade, I began to notice I was different from my peers. Suddenly, I was the one behind. As a result, I began to withdraw, putting on the facade that school didn't matter, being that child who was singled out by my teacher for reteach opportunities which were embarrassing and disheartening. I disliked school so much that I would often fake being sick so I could leave in hopes of being sent home. To fit in, I tried playing team sports, but I could never follow through. I quit before I could ever fail or actually succeed. My family nicknamed me KQ, which stood for Kinder Quitter. Deep down, this nickname served as the motivation I needed to persevere during trying times. Little did I know how trying school would become. It never seemed to get easier. At times, I questioned whether college was for me. But on this, I didn't give up. Even after taking the ACT 3 times, I was finally accepted to the University of Oklahoma, where I was able to pursue my childhood dream, to be a teacher. These experiences and struggles in school continued to motivate me to meet the needs of every student, from the English language learner to the gifted student to every child in between. I never want a child to feel as I did. I remember those teachers who got to know me, really know me. Those were the teachers for whom I worked the hardest for, and I still remember them to this day. I'm sure you can all easily think of the faces of those students that you've gotten close to, pulled along, and made a special connection. To me, this is what it's all about. There are people in this room who I am proud to call colleagues, who I see make those important connections at times with their students, our students, need it the most. Given my experiences in school, I didn't, and I know you didn't, get into this because I thought it was going to be easy. We knew it was going to be hard, and we still signed up for it. It's times like these when our work really matters most. One student I will always remember is Kate. From the moment she entered my room, she repeatedly told me how much she hated school, but specifically reading. Just like I did as a kid, Kate would pretend she was sick during read to self and swear she was dying during many reading lessons. A trip to the nurse or restroom was her favorite way to escape this so-called torture. While she hated reading, I was relieved to find out she loved to write. I saw a lot of myself in Kate. My heart broke as the tears welled in her eyes when she stumbled over the pronunciation of a word or struggled to find deep meaning in a text. During an early conference with her, we talked about the connection of reading and writing. Her eyes widened as what we were saying sank in. It took a while and several reading-writing conferences, but as the school year wound down, she had made a lot of progress and finally had confidence. At the end of the year, she sent me this note. It's one of those notes that bring tears to your eyes and that you hold on to forever. She wrote, "Dear Miss Davison, the best thing you gave me this year was reading. In 2nd grade, I read because I had to. But this year, you made me love it." I'm still amazed by that. I gave her reading, and we'll both live with that forever. Let's be honest. Teaching can be a thankless job at times, but those honest, from the heart notes, the misspellings and all, are what keeps us going. If you're like me, you hang on to these notes and read them when the going gets tough, and remember, this is what we do, to positively impact the lives of students in our classrooms. Now let's talk about Tyler. One of those kids whose reputation preceded him. We've all had a Tyler. Tyler is a child who had been labeled at a very early age. And sadly, he believed that label. It took months, but as the year went on, I could tell he was trusting me more and more. At one point, he even noticed my tendency to enjoy a gummy worm. Okay, I admit, 10. I knew I had finally made the connection when one day he brought in a giant jar of gummy worms, just for me. Yeah, right. Of course, he would still say to his classmates, "Ugh, Miss Davison is so mean. All she does is make me work." But I could tell that Tyler was turning the corner. As you begin your new school year, I hope you'll notice the Kates and the Tylers in your classroom and find a way to reach them. Figure out what makes them tick and run with it. Build a relationship on trust and genuine care. Whether it's a gummy worm, a smile, or simple words of encouragement, even the smallest of gestures can make a difference. I may have been called a quitter when I was a child, but I'm not about to quit on kids now. It's too important. In any classroom, there will always be kids who learn easily. The ones like our dolls when we were growing up. It's the ones who struggle, the Kates and the Tylers, who need us the most. I know, because I was one of them. I'm proud of myself for learning from my struggles, persevering through difficult times, and reaching the goal of becoming a classroom teacher. Just as I am proud of my students for doing the same. As I close today, I can't help but feel humbled and honored for being selected by my peers at University Park Elementary School as Teacher of the Year. Each day, I am surrounded by talented educators who I collaborate with and who push me out of my comfort zone to be my best for my students. And like my students, when I'm feeling overwhelmed and succeeding doesn't seem possible, I rely on my colleagues to get me through. Building relationships is not only important for the student, it's obviously absolutely critical for the teacher. As you begin your school year, I encourage you to be that teacher who teaches not only what you know, but also what's in your heart. Let your students know you and strive to get to know them, both the easy ones and the Kates and the Tylers. A person who teaches with their heart as well as their head changes the lives of their students forever. Like a pebble in a pond, we really never know how our impact is going to end, how far it will go. Thank you and have a wonderful year.
Thank you, Kendra. At the Region 10 luncheon, we had barely caught our breath when the announcement was made for the Secondary Teacher of the Year. The person selected for that honor would then be nominated along with only 19 other teachers statewide for the distinction of Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year. The teacher representing Region 10 this year is our own Jean Streepy. Before we hear from Jean, here's a video that illustrates how she inspires her students in her daily math classroom.
Six minus 8.5, where they get a negative 2.5. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I need to do that.
That would be a good answer right there, like 1.5 or 1.5.
Sometimes math can get boring because you're just learning facts, except with Miss Streepy, it's really fun.
Whenever I talk to her, it's like I'm talking to a friend because she says all of the funny phrases like cool and slick.
Super, nice work. Super, nice work. Be sure and cancel your 13s. Super, super.
And she has great style. She just wears the cutest stuff and has the cutest like hairstyles.
And you might throw in like maybe one step equations like this, but then maybe get to add the 2 here, as opposed to subtract it, you know.
I like how she always has fun ways of teaching us, and so she always makes me look forward to going to math.
The highlight is when you explain something and you think of another way to explain something and they finally go, oh, I get that.
She makes like the learning seem easier than it actually is.
If you'll start with just the area of the base, did you have this area first and then you're going to just multiply by the height. It's just unbelievable the things that teachers can teach a child in 1 year.
And she cares about us learning the material and not as much about our grades.
To do this piece first, and then don't round anything until you're finished. So do 1.25 times 1.25 more square here, then multiply times the other. Does that make sense?
Like, even if you may be sad, you always come into like positive math room, so you can just step away for a second and be like, okay, I'm learning math right now.
She's really fun and upbeat and always excited.
Even when she's having a bad day, she's always very kind and nice.
She like really takes the time to go around to each person and see like how they're doing and if they get what's happening.
The area of the base times the height, right? It's like you're stacking lids all on top of each other.
Congratulations on Teacher of the Year. You are amazing. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thanks, Ms. Streepy, for teaching us all this year. It's been very fun and I've had a great time.
Congratulations on Teacher of the Year. You've been a great teacher this year and I've learned a lot. Thank you.
I'm really happy that you got chosen for this, Ms. Streepy. You really deserve it, and you're such a great teacher, and I'm so thankful that you're teaching me this year.
Miss Streepy, you really deserve this award, and I'm going to miss you after this year, but it was fun, and I'm going to come back and visit you next year, too.
Good morning. This would be easier for me if you were 12 and we were doing something more fun, like adding or subtracting fractions. To change and yet to remain the same seems to be the race marked out for us here. Education is changing at the speed of technology, and some days my head spins with the new applications I feel I need to learn. In the 10 years that I've been teaching, phones have given way to email, then to texting, to Twitter and Snapchat, and more things than I even know exist. And while I'm excited that technology brings new ways to support student learning and potentially ways to affect change outside our walls, I know that the importance of the teacher behind the lesson hasn't changed. This district is unique because the halls echo with the wisdom of the great teachers who came before us. What a legacy we share, both a treasure and a responsibility. Like many HP families, our own family moved here for the schools when our daughters were young. Our house had peeling paint and leaking pipes, but we didn't mind because my husband Mike can fix anything and because all we cared about was you. And the best part of the story is that you did a great job for us. You drew us in and helped us to become a part of the community. You helped us to raise our children, and for that, we will always be grateful. But of course, that isn't the whole story. I started volunteering when our daughters entered Armstrong. I loved being in the schools and helping a wonderful teacher who simply needed an extra pair of hands for an activity. The energy generated in your classrooms is totally contagious, and I was hooked. Even though I was working part-time, I started spending more and more time in the schools, and when our daughters entered McCullough, I knew I wanted to be a math teacher. I went to UTA at night, did my student teaching in ISD, and started as a long-term substitute in the 6th grade. Becoming a teacher was a family event for us. Our daughter Lindsay helped decorate my classroom, and our daughter Katie taught me the technology. My husband Mike built a great workstation for my classroom and is always there with a word of encouragement. For those of you who taught our girls, Katie is now in Minneapolis working for General Mills, and Lindsay will be a senior at Notre Dame and is still diving for the Fighting Irish. When I started writing this, I tried to think back to the great teachers who influenced me, and I realized that they were at every turn in my life. I grew up with 2 really sick brothers, and my mother passed away when I was 17, but there was always a teacher to help me. My handicapped brother Donnie died when I was in the 5th grade, but most of what I remember from that year is how nice my teacher was, that she made me feel smart and safe, and that my PE teacher showed up at the hospital and stood beside me. 2 years later, my brother John was diagnosed with Hodgkin's, and he and my mom spent a lot of time at St. Jude's Hospital in Memphis. My grades were terrible, and my attitude was worse. But those 7th grade teachers, they showed me more grace than I could possibly deserve, and I rebounded by the end of 8th grade. When my mother died unexpectedly, my sister took me to college, and my oldest brother, his wife, and my sweet friend Elizabeth kept close tabs on me. But my coach and my English teacher kept in close contact with me too. I once heard that comforting someone doesn't mean fixing every problem for them, but rather to comfort means to come alongside and to lift up. My teachers walked beside me, and that is what I saw you do for our own daughters. Being a teacher, I knew the effort you put in. When one daughter would say, "She explained it to me again," or "I went to his tutorial," I knew it meant that you had to leave a stack of papers that needed grading, or a host of emails that needed answering to sit down with one child and help her out. Or at the dinner table when our daughter would say, "My teacher said I'm good at this," or "My teacher wrote a nice note on my paper," I knew it meant that you saw improvement or a chance for encouragement, and you spent the time to follow through. Some of you seem to have endless patience to explain concepts again and again. Others tackled amazing projects that captured their imagination. Still others built them up with a kind word of praise or concern, showed up at their events, or simply asked about their weekends. I watched as teachers encouraged our daughters to do their best and helped them to mature in their learning. You might not have been the one in the classroom, but perhaps you were the one who made and shared a lesson, or shared a new way to explain something, or helped a child who you didn't even teach. Teachers are the game changers. They are the ones who can transform a difficult day into a good one. When you tell a child they are smart, they believe you, because you are the expert in this place. They take what you say, and it becomes a part of them. They watch your every move, and they take a part of you with them when they leave. I loved my years at McCullough, but as our youngest daughter, Lindsay, prepared to go off to college, I requested to move to the middle school because I thought I should try something new. I know, what was I thinking? But as I settled into the middle school, I noticed with fresh eyes just how much we need every personality and talent if we are going to reach every child. I was also reminded that every job is hard and comes with unique challenges. We all bring something different to the table, and I am constantly inspired to see the wonderful teachers around me reach different learners. I especially appreciate the young teachers who attempt to keep me up on technology and other important topics. For example, I came back from the grocery store one day with the cutest little cups, and I was so excited because they were so small and they came in lots of colors, and I just knew they'd be perfect for teaching measurement. And one of my favorite young people asked me, "You know you can't use those, right?" To which I replied, "Oh no, they're perfect. I can use them with measurement unit, fluid ounces, cups, it'll be perfect." To which my young friend replied, "Did you happen to get those on the Jell-O aisle?" I'm so glad that my young friend kept me from passing out shot glasses to all my 7th graders. Now, with a few years behind me at the middle school, people often ask me about the different grade levels and which grade I like the most. I haven't focused on the differences as much as the similarities, but overall I've learned I need patience and a sense of humor to teach any grade. No matter how many ways I think to explain something, someone will always need me to explain it again. And no matter how many places I post my work online, someone will always ask, "Did we do anything last week when I was absent?" And those 8th graders, they always think of the best nicknames, like Street Dog, among others, I'm sure. But of course, kids grow and things change. In the 6th grade, issuing school supplies and lockers takes hours on the first day of school, and in the 8th grade, it takes 10 minutes. At McCullough, I had little baggies and cute ribbon in case they lost a tooth during class, and in the middle school, it's all about the braces. Sure, kids still come to math without a pencil, and they still try to check and correct their homework with a yellow highlighter. But on the flip side, they still greet me happily when they come into my classroom, and they still say, "Thank you, Mrs. Streepy," when they leave. Fortunately, one thing that doesn't seem to change across grades is how much teachers help each other. When I started my first job at McCullough, both new and experienced teachers reached out to help me, and it was the same when I moved to the middle school. So much of what the students learn in school is how to deal with life situations, and they notice how we help each other. I so appreciate the administrators who took a chance on me and encouraged me, my sweet McCullough colleagues who guided me in my first years, the wonderful 8th grade teachers who helped me transition to the middle school, and my terrific 7th grade colleagues who make our days fun. I worked in several jobs before I became a teacher, and I really liked each one. I worked hard and laughed, just like we do here. But this job isn't like any other job that I've ever had. This is a job that changes lives every day, and sometimes forever. I say all of these things, and I believe them to be true, but in all of this, do you know what I forgot? Or maybe I knew it all along, and I just wasn't paying enough attention. My eye was on the students and on the math, but somewhere along the way, I looked up to see what wonderful friendships I've been blessed with here. As we work together to serve the students and their families, we share our own lives in the process. We spend semesters together teaching, hours together planning, and minutes together eating quick lunches, and we become a part of each other's lives. I can't imagine any job more rewarding than teaching. Every day I witness one aha moment after another. I love thinking of 5 ways to explain the same topic or waking up in the morning with a new idea. I have a host of colleagues who are happy to teach me new technology, to celebrate the successes with me, and to help me through the tough situations. There's really nothing that can compare to teaching. When you put your head on your pillow after a successful day of teaching and learning, you feel a renewed hope for the world that really can't be explained. As a math teacher, it is fun to admit that when teachers bind together to help each other and to be the best we can be, it really is the finest example of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. Thank you for all that you do and for allowing me to be a part of it.
Thank you, Jean. What a terrific job. You know, I was excited to hear that it's become somewhat of a tradition to hear from a Highland Park ISD graduate at this convocation. It's good for the soul to enjoy the fruits of our labor and see just how our work has impacted our students. Charles Harper is a wonderful young man. Charles is a 2014 graduate of Highland Park High School. As a student here, he was president of the robotics team, captain of the academic decathlon team, vice president of the Quiz Bowl team, and nonfiction board head of the Tartan magazine. He is involved in many theater productions during his years with us. In his spare time, he became an Eagle Scout. He's currently attending the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science at Columbia University, and he plans to graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Engineering with a political science minor in May of 2018. At Columbia, Charles is a member of the executive board of EcoReps, an organization that organizes recycling, waste reduction, and other green campaigns. He's also a part of the Roosevelt Institute Campus Network, which is a nonpartisan progressive think tank. We're delighted that Charles could take time to be with us here today. Help me give a warm welcome to Charles Harper.
First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Trigg for the great introduction, and thank you so much for having me here today. This district has given me so much, and I'd be thrilled if I could even give a fraction of it back. As Dr. Trigg mentioned, my name is Charles Harper. I just started my first year at Columbia University in New York City, and I graduated way back in 2014. You might recognize me from my many roles in the theater, but I also moonlighted as a robot designer, Latin aficionado, decathlete, among many other things. These days, I'm focusing more on math and science and environmentalism. However, before I delve too much into the present, I'd like to start with the past. I'd never be who I am, where I am without it, without you. I started my time in Highland Park at Armstrong in Miss Finley's kindergarten class. At the end of that first year, she gave each student an adjective corresponding to the first letter of their name. Apparently, I haven't changed very much because the adjective she gave me that day still describes me today. curious. Okay, I've changed a lot, but curiosity has been part of me since the very beginning. At Armstrong, I discovered a lot of interests. Highland Park was where I found every discipline of knowledge for the very first time. One of the subjects that I'm now studying full-time is science. My very first science experiment was in kindergarten. With a little help from my parents, I designed an experiment involving static electricity and balloons that I conducted in front of the class, an experiment that sparked in me a lifelong fascination in science. As you might be able to tell from my theatrical use of puns, I also discovered theater when I was in elementary school. I fell in love with acting early on in my HP career. I had my theatrical debut in the 3rd grade play, Elphys Goes West, with Lewis and Clark. My performance as Explorer number 4 set the elementary school theater community abuzz, and I immediately became a household name. At least in my household. But I did feel like a big deal. I was always met with such encouragement, and that's what caused me to stick with my interest no matter how diverse, and keep trying new things. This newfound confidence had me so in love with learning that I wanted to do it outside of the classroom as well. Once, in the 4th grade, my teacher, Mrs. Geeson, found it a little hard to believe that I had logged 700 pages of reading in 1 week. But I don't know why she was surprised. After all, I was reading the books that she had personally recommended and lent me from her personal library. It's one thing to beat a child over the head with reading lessons. It's quite another to light a fire underneath their imagination. Not that any of you would beat a child or light them on fire. Whether we were growing a garden in science class or planning interactive presentations for our state and country projects, my teachers always made learning fun. Perhaps in the wider world, I would have been an anomaly, a student who loved to learn, but at Highland Park, love of learning isn't so rare. I'm not saying your jobs are easy. Far from it. It took the hard work of teachers grades K through 12 to instill this curiosity. My teachers always managed to find my best qualities and encourage them. You taught us to think for ourselves and become lifelong learners, and you expanded our horizons to include worlds beyond the 6 square miles of the park cities. You taught us all about historical masterpieces of European art, which I promptly plagiarized. You taught us all about the intricacies of cultures beyond our own, which I reduced to a culturally appropriate Halloween costume. You taught us all about the wondrous biology of our fellow living creatures, which I capitalized upon by cruelly dissecting their disembodied hearts. Okay, maybe I didn't immediately put my newfound knowledge to good use, but I was so inspired by my school day lessons that I did everything I could to learn more. When I eventually left Armstrong for MIS, I was equipped with the courage and confidence to take on the bigger hallways, the multiple passing periods, the new classmates. Middle school is a time of transition. Students enter as 10-year-old children and leave as full-fledged adults. Not exactly. However, they do leave expected to handle the academic and social rigors of high school. My teachers were my cocoon, shepherding me along a road of metamorphosis, each tasked with a different aspect of my development. I'm sure it's a difficult task to get every student interested in every subject. Personally, I could never pick a favorite subject growing up, but I know this isn't always the case. I have no idea how my science teacher, Mrs. Stager, attracted the interest of budding poets, and don't ask me how my history teachers, Miss McKinley and Barger, won the attention of teenagers so connected to our technological present. And don't even get me started on Mrs. Janik. She had students thrilled over marginalia, not to mention literally cheering for standardized testing. I might actually remember the whole tax test chant. Mrs. Janik, feel free to join in. TAKS is our test. This year we will do our best. Now's the 8th grade's time to win. We'll take state 2010. Middle school was also when I started getting more involved in theater. Miss McCormick was my drama mama. She had preteens putting on surprisingly professional shows, all while managing to keep everything loose and fun. I'm amazed to this day she could direct 4 plays a year. I'm sure the average person would be exhausted even watching 4 of them a year. Regardless, she kept a bunch of middle schoolers focused on one thing for hours a day, all while maintaining patience and energy two qualities I could stand to learn from any of my teachers. By the time I left for the high school, I had been shaped into the liberal artist I am today, an unabashed science nerd who loved reading, acting, art, and the French horn. If you think that maybe I was taking on too much, feel free to commiserate with my mother. I kept doing theater under the benevolent matriarchy of Mrs. Raya, who taught me that love and dedication will take you far in the world. I joined the robotics team under Mr. Thomas, where I was taught the hidden secrets of problem solving and time management. I took Latin, and spending so much time learning a dead language taught me that knowledge is powerful, even if it isn't immediately applicable. While my understanding of Latin won't necessarily help me as an environmentalist, a more complete and understanding of an ancient civilization will help me prepare for the future of our own. And even though academic decathlon could be described as merely competitive studying of useless facts, I gained leadership and a competitive spirit, things often off limits for a non-athlete such as myself, in addition to some pretty useful study habits. All of these things prepared me for college, and I'm incredibly grateful to you for it. When I got to Columbia, I was writing essays at a college level at the beginning of my writing class when some of my classmates weren't until the end. I was taking math and physics classes in which I actually knew most of the material ahead of time. Probably thanks in no small part to having Teacher of the Year Dr. Wright for 2 years in a row. Because I was so well prepared for college, my transition to living alone in a new city was far easier. Because I wasn't struggling with my schoolwork, I had more time to make friends and join extracurriculars and explore New York City. Since the beginning, I've always been finding new interests, and college was no exception. While I've always been a lover of the outdoors, this year was when I really became dedicated to environmentalism. I decided to pursue environmental engineering, a discipline dedicated to constantly finding new ways to make our world more sustainable. And I became involved in movements to make Columbia's recycling program, energy usage, and investment practices more green as well. Our planet is the one thing we share with not only each other, but every organism alive both today and billions of years into the future. However, these plant animals and future humans do not have a voice today. I like to think of myself as a real-world Lorax. I speak for the trees. The destruction of the environment disproportionately affects impoverished communities, as I learned this summer. While working as an environmental policy intern for a New York congressman, I saw firsthand that poor NYC communities were those hardest hit by Hurricane Sandy and had the highest asthma rates and cancer rates from nearby power plants. Globally, poor countries are those hardest hit by droughts, food shortages, and sea level rise due to climate change. During my time at HP, I certainly entered to learn, and I left striving to learn more, but I also left with compassion. I learned this desire to help others firsthand from my teachers, who were so dedicated to making a mark on me. HP built me from the ground up into a lifelong student of the world with the confidence to go forth and serve it. Hopefully I've helped you see the bigger picture, helped you see how long days grading tests and planning lessons are all worth it, because they're going directly into building up the life of a student. After all, energy is neither created nor destroyed. All your work serves a purpose. As I continue to grow into who I am and who I will be, I must attribute a work to its artists. You've given me the confidence to proudly be who I am. After all the wisdom you've given me, I'd be remiss not to say thank you. Sir Francis Bacon said, "Nam et ipsa scientia potestas est." It's slightly cliché, but it's in Latin, so hopefully you don't notice. It means, and thus knowledge itself is power. The knowledge and skills you give us are forever. With them, we can tackle the problems of a new generation by standing on the shoulders of the old. While there's so much to know, and some of us may never be satisfied, the gift of knowledge can forever change a life for the better. Thank you.
There is no way to follow that, Charles. That was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. And you've just shared such an insight into this school district and what what it's going to mean, I know, to me. In fact, I can tell you already, I'm going to love it here. Couple just, random thoughts. One, you like to have fun. I can tell. You like to have fun. There's a lot of enthusiasm and enjoyment, and you're having such a great time at a convocation. And secondly, I keep hearing this theme of relationships. And folks, I'm all about relationships. I love relationships. I mean, I think relationships really is what pulls us all together and really ensures that kids are going to be successful once they graduate from Highland Park Independent School District. So I'm excited, absolutely excited. At this point, I was going to say something about the formality of the program and shifting to be a little bit less formal, but I don't have to say that, obviously. What I do want to mention is we're going to put some slides up throughout a couple of remarks that I want to make. And if you happen to recognize your school or yourself or whatever, it's fine to let those around you know that that's a very special place for you. And what I'm doing is giving you permission to interact as we talk a little bit. So I'm really excited about that. Some of you are probably sitting there thinking, I'd rather be in my classroom. Okay? And I get that. I'm an educator. I've done this for 40 plus years, and I know about the first day back. And let me say, too, I know most of you have already been in your classrooms. I know that really you don't start on day one. You start much earlier than that. But at the same time, when you officially start, you really do want to be back in classrooms. And so I'm not going to take a whole lot more of your time, but I do want to share just a couple things with you. And I want you to understand why I think a convocation is important. It's one of the very few times throughout the school year where we can all be together, where every single one of us, certified, non-certified, elementary, middle, intermediate, high school, preschool, where we can all be together and we can celebrate the fact that we are a school system and we're not just a system of schools. And I think there's a differentiation there, and something we're going to be working on to help people to know and understand and grow in is that we really are united as a school district. And what one level does matters to another level. And what we do in one classroom matters to what happens in another classroom. And we share all of these kids together, and we really are a school system. And we want our district office, our administrative team, quite frankly, to serve this district, this system, all together. And we're going to go on this journey in the next few years as we begin to talk about that. Now, before I really get going, there are two groups that I want to recognize. The first group is a group of people who, ever since the last day of school, last May, has been working to be sure that a week from today we're ready for the next year. Not that as teachers and administrators we don't work during the summer, because we do. But oftentimes I think we have some unsung heroes and we have people that we overlook. And that would be our grounds crew, for example, that's out there in this 100-degree heat each and every day. It's our maintenance folks that are making sure, quite frankly, that the light switches are working that were broken at the end of the year, and the drains that were plugged are working, and all of the important tasks that they do, along with our food service folks, along with our secretarial staffs that are taking care of registration, enrollment. I mean, our district office team that's working all the backroom functions, the technology folks, and on and on and on. So if you're one of those folks, I want you to stand up because we want to recognize you. If you've been working this summer. Come on. There you go. Come on. They're also the shyest group in the school district. They don't like attention brought onto them, but we do appreciate them. And secondly, and although President of the School Board Joe Taylor recognized you earlier at the breakfast, I want, once again, if you're brand new to HPISD, this is your first convocation, I want you to stand up and receive a Highland Park welcome. And that was a selfish request because obviously I'm brand new as well. This is day 16 for me. And I want to share just real quickly with those of you that just stood up what I think you're going to encounter in your first few days on the job. Because what I have encountered, quite frankly, is a genuineness of people that is without measure. People here don't just tell you they care. They don't just tell you that they want to help. They really do. They pitch in and they make sure that you're successful. Our Board of Education is a great example of that as they have assisted me. My administrative team has made sure day in and day out that I knew the little intricacies, not that I'm not going to misstep or make a false step now and then because of my old way of doing things, but they've just been great and really have embraced me. So I want to encourage you new folks, don't be afraid to ask. Talk to those teaching colleagues, talk to those administrative colleagues, talk to people around you because they want you to succeed and they will genuinely help you. I absolutely will guarantee that that's going to happen. Another person I should mention that helped me as well is Dawson Orr, the outgoing superintendent. Dawson helped me in the transition, just helping to get my arms around this place and kind of get the feel for it. Quite frankly, no one can really do that until you experience it, and by golly, I'm really experiencing it today, so thank you so very, very much. Okay, so who is this guy? Who is this new superintendent? I want to talk with you just very quickly, just a little bit about maybe who I am and why I've ended up being kind of the way that I am and why I'm such a lover of kids and why I'm a career educator. And I want to start out by talking about my family. I want to start out with my mom and dad. As my mom and dad are career educators as well. Both were math teachers. My dad, 40 plus years teaching math, started out junior high, went to high school. My mom, middle school math teacher for 20 plus years. This picture that I picked after I heard the speeches today because we had rehearsals, and a lot of it had to do, as I mentioned before, with relationships. This is my dad in the middle. My dad will be 92 this October the 30th, and these are some of his girls who he had in junior high math in the early 1950s. True story. These girls got together and they came to Kansas City for one purpose, and that was to see my dad. They were from all over the country, and they maintained their relationships and friendships, and they decided they wanted to come and see Mr. Trigg and thank him for the impact that he had on their lives back in the 1950s. Does that not relate to what Kendra was talking about? The notes and all those kinds of things? Well, this is the kind of environment that I grew up in. You know, I was fortunate in that I got to continue the family business, not just education, but math teaching. Very, very important to me. You know, I believe in education so much, I married a teacher. And I know Joe kind of beat me to the punch and introduced her to you, but because we've been married 38 years and we've just had this transition of moving from Overland Park, Kansas, I want to recognize her again wherever she is. So Julie, stand up and be recognized. Throughout my career, math teacher, high school principal, district office administrator, or whatever, focus has always been on kids. I've always believed, and I think it's because my parents taught me this, that education, it's not a job, and it's not a vocation, and it's not even a profession. Folks, it's a calling. It's a passion. And that's why you're here today, because you have that calling, because you know that you can make a difference in the lives of kids. And that is so extremely important to what we're going to do throughout this next school year and the years to come. Let me focus back on family real quick because I've got a picture up there and want to mention that. This is from a family vacation about a year ago, and just bear with me if you will, because these people are near and dear to me, and I think it gives you a little insight into me and to how the education theme runs through our family. Our youngest is Aaron. Aaron is an athletic director and basketball coach out in Scottsdale, Arizona, so you kind of see the education theme there. Our middle daughter, Whitney, kind of got out of the education theme. She's in pharmaceutical sales up in Overland Park, but her husband is an industrial technology teacher, wrestling coach, football coach, so we're able to kind of keep it in the family as far as that goes. They actually are legal guardians for Cordell, who is Cody's 16-year-old, soon-to-be 16-year-old nephew. And so they decided to join this parenting realm as parents of teenagers, and quite frankly, I'm really proud of them because they've just done such a great job integrating Cordell into their family the last couple years. And then our oldest is Mandy, and she and her husband Steve are physicians out in Amarillo, Texas. And the nice thing about them and their connection to education, quite frankly, is some of their favorite parts, I think, really of being a physician is being able to train and teach other young physicians. In fact, our daughter is still a part of the Texas Tech medical center team out there that works with interns and fellowships and those kinds of things. So really is an important part. And then the last member of our family that I want to mention will be on this next slide, and that's our only granddaughter. That's Elizabeth, and you can see that Grandpa really does love being around Elizabeth. In fact, we just spent a couple days out in Amarillo, got back late last night. So that's kind of our family in a nutshell. I'm gonna take a license here, and because the energy here has been so upbeat and enjoyable, and excuse me, I'm going to mention something about our middle daughter that actually, as I was talking with our communications director, we decided I wouldn't do just because of time, but I'm up here and he's not. So I'm sorry, John, I do get off script a little bit, maybe each year I'll give you just a little insight to each one of our kids, because maybe you then can relate that to either a student that you'd have or some of your own kids or whatever. But just a quick story about our middle daughter, Whitney. Did you know last week there was a National Middle Child Day? That's okay, nobody else knew it either. And middle children will tell you nobody ever recognizes them. But Whitney went away to college and went to school in Virginia. And during her sophomore year, I'm in the office back in Blue Valley, and I get a phone call from Whitney, and she's talking kind of rapidly, and I can tell she's a little nervous, and then finally she says, "Dad, are you sitting down?" Well, what's a dad start to think? "Dad, are you sitting down?" Whatever. And so kind of a big deep breath, and she says, "Dad, I want you to know I bought a horse." And I said, "Whitney, you did what?" And she said, "Well, I bought a horse." I said, "Whitney, you live in the dorm." And she says, "I know, Dad, but I've been working out on this estate, and they were going to get rid of these horses, and I kind of fell in one, so I bought a horse." Well, anyway, she did. She bought a horse, and she ends up shipping it back when she graduates from college. True story. That's Whitney. Fast focus to this last week. She's an animal lover. She and her husband and Cordell have 3 dogs. They have a dog that she rescued that had to have a leg amputated, so they've got a 3-legged dog. They've got an Australian Shepherd. And then they have Walter, who is an English Mastiff. So I am driving someplace last week, and I get a call from Whitney again, and she says, "Dad, are you sitting down?" So I say yes and whatever. Well, Cody gave me a puppy. So what do you think they have now? 2 English Mastiffs in there. But that's just a little insight into Whitney and kind of our family and the way we love animals and all of those kinds of things as well. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about why Highland Park. What is it that's so special about Highland Park? Why would we choose to come to Highland Park? Well, let me tell you, Highland Park has a national reputation, a very positive national reputation. There's no doubt about it. People know about Highland Park. Why do they know? Because they know about the graduates and what they go on to do and how successful they are, and they credit the school district for having a very, very special part of that. If you go to our website, you're going to see things up on that website like ACT scores, the fact that it's 27.2, which blows districts away, quite frankly. You're going to see SAT scores like 1792. You're going to see AP exams where 3/4 of our kids score 3 or higher, and almost half our kids score 4 and 5, which is just unbelievable. You just don't see that in many school districts. You're going to see the number of national merit finalists. You're going to see things like volunteerism, the fact that 95% of our kids go on to college, and then you're going to see parent volunteerism at an all-time high. Folks, it's on steroids here. It is unbelievable. No, it's wonderful. I embrace it. I mean, the fact that we're on the same page with parents who have high expectations, and they're willing to come into our buildings, and they're willing to surround us and help us educate their kids. Folks, it doesn't happen every place, but it's absolutely phenomenal. The exciting thing to me is that we need to understand that while most of these statistics deal with graduates and kids in the high school, that it's the pre-K through 12 that gets people there. So we took a second, communications department did, John and his staff, and called individual buildings and just said, hey, give us something that you're really proud of this last year. The exciting thing to me is the majority of those items were not necessarily academic in nature, but they dealt with personal growth of kids. That's one reason you want to come to Highland Park, because Highland Park gets it. It's not just test scores, folks. It's helping kids to become the people that they need to be. It's helping with their character. It's helping them develop value systems. It's all these things wrapped into one. And here's some examples that we got from buildings. Armstrong Elementary, 4th grade students sold Valentine cards that they made themselves. I didn't hear a word from Armstrong Elementary. And I had given you permission, remember? Okay. Great job, 4th graders at Armstrong Elementary. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Bradfield. Students inspired to read from the One Town, One Book program, where everybody's reading the same book at the same time, so you knew it at a given time in one evening. Every family was concentrating on the same book. I mean, what a great way to instill a love for reading, in the kids. Higher, students won the University Park Library Readers' Cup for the 3rd year in a row, and your principal was so excited about it, he brought the trophy to a meeting last week to me to validate that. So thank you, Jeremy, for doing that. All right, you would expect Jeremy to do that, would you not? All right, okay, moving on. University Park, absolutely a focus on green space and being outside, and their garden is a phenomenal place. 153 4th graders actually being certified as junior master gardeners last year. How awesome is that? Okay, McCullough Intermediate School and Highland Park Middle School. Academic team winning the UIL Sweepstakes Award. They had a math team that actually won a national championship this last year. And then on the personal growth side, toy drive to help students in need and children in need. So we really appreciate that. We switched to the high school real quickly. Academic decathlon team, which I'm sure Charles will get some credit for, even though he just set the stage the year before, but finished second in state. And if I'm not mistaken, 5 kids went on to the national competition and winning 8 medals, the first time they'd ever had that happen. So congratulations there. All-state band, they had a member. 4 all-state choir members, if I'm not mistaken. The orchestra sweepstakes award at the state level. You can go on and on and on to high school. Once again, we're talking about personal growth. Athletically, state medals in tennis, soccer, track, swimming, and gymnastics. I am so glad that the high school chose to emphasize not just the academics, but the activities and the athletic programs. And folks, there's so much learning that goes on in those extracurricular and those co-curricular activities. It just absolutely is an essential part of what we're trying to do as we prepare these kids for their future. You know what? You can't be a part of Highland Park without knowing and hearing and seeing across the district, enter to learn, go forth to serve, over and over and over. And we have a short little video to highlight that.
Park ISD, where a small town feel meets big time dreams. We're committed to serving our community and our world by helping our students become learners for the future. That means helping them prepare for college. That means helping them prepare for college and career by opening the doors through excellent communication, innovative thinking, collaborative problem solving. And collaborative problem solving. Our students' commitment to education is matched only by their dedication to service. In order to earn a diploma from Highland Park High School, our students are required to volunteer for at least 50 hours. But most of our students go far beyond that graduation requirement. The class of 2015 logged more than 71,000 volunteer hours during their 4 years. That's an average of 133 hours per student. So whether it's in the classroom, on the stage, on the playing field, or in the community. Our students are committed to excellence. And tradition. Which is why in Highland Park, our motto is enter to learn, go forth to serve.
Okay, where do we go from here? What's next? And I'm not going to talk a whole lot longer, so kind of hang in here with me, because I think this is a couple key things as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what I believe is going to be an upcoming bond issue. We have a facility advisory committee that's been working extremely diligently to come up with a recommendation for our board to consider. And our board's going to consider that tomorrow evening. Assuming that they pass that, then on November 3rd, there's going to be a very significant election dealing with facilities here in Highland Park ISD. Mention that for a couple reasons. One, to be sure that you're aware, but two, to let you know that once that package is voted upon, it'll be our job to present information to the community, not to advocate, because there's a state law that says you can't advocate pro or con against any item that's on the ballot. And so we won't be doing that, but we will be out providing information to everybody so that we have an informed electorate, so that they can go to the polls either pre-voting or on the actual date on November the 3rd, and make the best choice possible for the future kids in Highland Park ISD. So I want you to know and be aware of that. Secondly, I just want to talk about strategic planning for just a quick second, and I know that can be a very dull and boring topic, but to me it's not. It's near and dear to my heart, particularly for a district like Highland Park. Because folks, the biggest challenge we probably have is understanding that our current state, that the status quo is just not acceptable. It's not okay next year to be at the same place that we are this year. We have got to continue to improve. And the only way we do that is by setting goals. And you set goals through a strategic planning process. And you agree on those goals, and you collaborate, and you decide this is what we want to achieve, so that 5 years from now, when you look back, Highland Park ISD is a different place than it was today as we're looking back. So it's really, really important that we understand the push and the emphasis on getting better. We do that through being creative. We do that through being innovative. We do that through collaborating and working together and pushing one another. We do that by deciding on our way to school each and every day that we're going to do a little bit better job than we did the day before. And we're going to make a difference in the life of a child today that maybe we didn't make a difference the day before. It's that kind of mindset and that kind of attitude that we absolutely have to have. You'll find that I'm a big Jim Collins fan. I really believe in a lot of Jim Collins' leadership model. A couple of things he says. The businesses that have regressed, that were one time great and regressed, it's because they got full of themselves. It's because they started living in the past and living on their laurels. We can't do that. We can't let hubris become a part of us. We have got to continue to reach out and excel. Not that we aren't going to build upon this foundation, this unbelievable foundation. And it's even harder for a district like Highland Park that's got such a solid foundation and it's built so high to continue to excel. But folks, we're going to do it. We're going to do it together. I am extremely excited. And one of the main reasons I think we're going to be able to do that and use this innovation and this creativity is because of the people here in this room. You're who we value. You're the people that are going to make a difference day in and day out. You're the people that are going to come alongside each and every one of these kids. You're going to push our students to achieve day in and day out. You're going to be the one that's going to hold the hands and put the Band-Aids on and comfort and be assured that you interject yourselves into light and into the life of each and every one of our kids each and every day. You're going to be the ones that absolutely will inspire kids to excel and to be and do more than they ever thought they could be. I absolutely believe that. You know, we started out today by honoring teachers, honoring everybody in this room. And actually, we're going to end today doing the same kind of thing. You're going to see a photo montage, and if you look really hard, you may even be able to find yourself. I think you're going to find it enjoyable. I think it's going to be a great way for us to culminate this convocation activity. And quite frankly, the interesting thing is, hopefully you will recognize the song. You know, each of our teachers had a theme song. I'm not going to claim this is my theme song. I'll let you decide if it really is or not. But the bottom line is, Julie, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.